The greatest victory is the one over yourself. Marcus Aurelius. You know what's wild, folks? Folks, the moment you stop caring is the moment they start obsessing. It's like magic. But never really believed. You've tried everything, sending that extra message, putting in more effort, being there when they needed you. And what happened? They pulled away. They barely noticed you. They started treating you like an option. But the moment you stop, suddenly, it's like you're the center of the universe. Why to me? Because when you stop chasing, you start winning. Now, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe, because you're here to change your mindset and level up. You're here to learn the real secret, the Stoic way. And trust me, once you get this, everything starts shifting. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing in a room full of people holding a glass of water. There's someone in the corner constantly talking, trying to get everyone's attention. They're doing everything they can to be noticed, laughing too loudly, telling stories that don't even make sense. But then there's another person across the room, leaning back, calm and collected. They're not saying much, but somehow everyone is drawn to them. Why? Because they're not trying, they're comfortable in their own skin. People notice them without even trying. That's the key, my friends. The moment you stop trying so hard, stop chasing after someone who doesn't appreciate you, everything changes. The moment you pull back and stop overgiving, they start to wonder what happened to you. Why aren't you calling them anymore? Why aren't you waiting for them? They start realizing what they took for granted, their control over you. But here's the kicker. You don't need their validation to feel complete. I know it sounds crazy, right? You've been told your whole life that love, connection, and relationships are all about effort, about proving that you're worth their time. But guess what? That's a lie. People don't respect what they don't have to earn. They don't appreciate things that are constantly available to them. Ever had a song you loved so much you played it on repeat until one day it just didn't hit the same anymore? It became background noise. But then, one day out of nowhere, you hear it again, and suddenly you miss it. You crave it. The absence made you realize how much you cared for it in the first place. That's exactly what happens when you stop caring. They'll start missing your presence. You're not playing games. You're simply respecting your own time. You're pulling back to reclaim your energy. And you know what's even better? Once they realize what they lost, they're going to be the ones chasing, not because they suddenly love you more, but because they miss the control they once had over you. They miss knowing you are always there, always reachable, always available. And when they no longer have that, panic sets in. Suddenly they start thinking, did I lose them? Are they talking to someone else? But here's the cold truth. If they didn't see your value when it was right in front of them, they're not worthy of your time. It's that simple. You don't need to prove yourself. When you stop caring about their reaction, when you stop needing their validation, that's when your power kicks in, and that's when they start chasing. So say this with me right now: I am the prize. I don't chase, I attract. Write it in the comments below, folks. Let it sink in. That right there is the mindset shift that will change everything. And before we move on, remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Stay with me, because we're about to dive into more Stoic wisdom that will change the game for you. Believe me, once you stop giving them your energy, that's when you'll see just how powerful you really are. Stay tuned. It's about to get even better. Number 1, the emotional paradox. Why letting go draws them in. The more you let go, the more you gain. Seneca sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? You've been taught your whole life that to win someone's heart, you have to give them everything. Chase them, prove you care. Show up time and time again, and make sure they know how much you're invested. But what if I told you that the more you care, the more you chase, the further they pull away? What if the real secret to attracting someone is to let go? Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably asking yourself, but what if I let go and they forget about me? What if they move on to someone else? What if they stop caring altogether? Those are real fears. I get it. You've been trained to believe that the more you give, the more you receive. But in reality, the exact opposite is true. When you overgive, when you chase after someone who isn't fully invested, you start to lose your power. You become like an open faucet that never shuts off, always giving, always available, always pouring out your energy. Let me break it down for you with a simple metaphor. Imagine you're holding a ball of yarn. You're the cat, and the ball of yarn is the person you're chasing. At first, the ball of yarn is exciting. It moves around in unpredictable ways, and you can't wait to catch it. But after a while, it gets tiring. The more you chase it, the less fun it becomes. The more predictable it gets, the less interested you are. But here's the twist. When the yarn stops moving, when you stop chasing, suddenly it becomes the most interesting thing in the room. It's no longer something you can always get. It's now out of reach. And that's when the real attraction happens. That's exactly how human relationships work. When you're always there, always chasing, always eager to please, you become predictable and boring. But the moment you pull back, the moment you stop chasing, they start wondering, why aren't they reaching out anymore? Where did they go? What happened to them? They begin to crave your presence because now they don't know if they'll ever get it again. They'll ever get it again. And let me tell you folks, when something becomes scarce, it automatically becomes valuable. You see, desire intensifies when something seems out of reach. This principle goes way back to the Stoics. Seneca himself said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Himself. That means when you're chasing someone and losing control over your own emotional balance, you're giving away your power. You're allowing someone else to control your happiness, your feelings, and your energy. I know this might be hard to swallow. You're thinking, but if I stop trying, I might lose them for good. And that's where the fear comes in. Fear of being forgotten, fear of losing control. But here's the truth. If you stop chasing and they disappear, they were never fully invested in the first place. If someone can walk away the moment you stop giving them all your attention, that's their loss, not yours. And let's be honest here. How many times have you chased someone only to feel drained, frustrated, and undervalued? How many times have you given so much only to watch them walk away or worse, act as if they didn't even notice? You've been taught that giving more means being loved more, but in reality, it means you're watering a plant that isn't growing. You're draining your energy on someone who may not appreciate it. I get it. The fear is real. You think if I stop giving, they'll stop caring. But this is where the lie gets broken. The lie is that your worth is tied to their reaction. The truth is that your value doesn't decrease just because someone else fails to see it. Your worth is not tied to whether someone notices how much you care. The only person whose opinion matters in this situation is you. Now let me ask you a hard question. What would happen if you stopped chasing them? What if you took a step back and let them come to you if they wanted to? I know that sounds scary. It sounds like you're giving up, right? But here's the thing, letting go is not giving up. It's taking control. When you stop chasing, you reclaim your power. And here's the kicker. When you stop chasing, when you stop seeking their approval, you suddenly become more desirable. Why? Because they'll start feeling the absence. They'll feel the void. They'll realize that the person they took for granted is no longer around. And guess what? When something is gone, people don't just forget about it. They miss it. This is the emotional paradox, my friends. The more you stop caring, the more they start caring. The more you let go, the more they start obsessing. But let's be real here. It's not going to be easy at first. You'll feel the urge to break the silence. You'll want to send that text. You'll want to call to check in. Your brain will scream at you, "What if they forget about me? What if I never hear from them again?" These are the doubts, the lies that keep you in the cycle of chasing, overgiving, and losing yourself. But this is exactly what you need to break free from. The truth is, when you let go, you give space for real connections to flourish. You give yourself space to grow. You give yourself the freedom to stop worrying about their every move, their every response. When you stop chasing, you stop reacting to every little thing they do. You stop basing your happiness on their availability or attention. You start focusing on your own growth and peace of mind. And that, my friends, is when you become untouchable. So say this with me right now. I am valuable, and I do not chase, I attract. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in. Let it become your truth. This is where your power lies. You're not here to beg for anyone's attention. You're here to own your worth and let them come to you if they truly want to. Now hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. The best part is coming, because once you stop chasing, once you stop fearing their absence, that's when you unlock the real secret to attraction. Trust me, this is just the beginning. Let's keep going and get ready to discover what comes next. Number 2, breaking the illusion of control. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius, you've heard it before, my friends. If you love something, let it go. But let's dive deeper into that, because the truth is, trying too hard to control the outcome in relationships never works. You think you can bend someone to your will, make them see how much you care, force things to happen the way you want them to. But here's the hard truth. The more you try to control, the more you push them away. It's like holding on to sand. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're in a relationship, or even just trying to connect with someone. You're constantly thinking about how to impress them, what to say next, how to make them feel good, how to avoid making a mistake. You're hyper-focused on their reactions, on how they're perceiving you. Now, that may feel like being in control, but what it's really doing is setting up a game where you're constantly reacting, not leading. And when you're always in reactive mode, you're not living authentically. You're living in the shadow of their approval. And that's not a place where real connection happens. It's just exhausting. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "We are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens." For a second. It's not the situation itself that's hurting you. It's how you're mentally processing it. You're so obsessed with the idea of controlling the relationship, of making sure everything goes perfectly, that you lose sight of what really matters, your own peace of mind. Trying to control how someone feels or how a relationship unfolds, that's just stress. That's worry. That's a mind full of noise and chaos. Now here's the thing. Detachment isn't indifference. It's not about not caring. It's about gaining clarity of mind. It's about choosing to focus on what you can control, your actions, your responses, your mindset, and letting go of the rest. It's about giving yourself the freedom to stop obsessing over every little detail. You've been taught to overanalyze, to second-guess every word, every move. But that constant pressure to make things perfect is only draining your energy and keeping you from showing up as your true self. Here's where it gets tough. The fear of letting go. You might be thinking, but if I let go of control, won't they just stop caring? That's the trap we all fall into. The belief that if we stop worrying about every detail, if we stop trying to force outcomes, we'll lose them. But the truth is, when you release the need to control, you stop being afraid of what might happen. You realize that your worth isn't tied to their reaction. And once you realize that something amazing happens, you're free. You can be present, not anxious about what's next or what they might think. So say this with me: I release control, and I trust the process. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in. You can't control everything, and you shouldn't try to. Your peace is the most important thing, not their approval. And trust me, once you stop trying to control everything, you'll see how much better everything flows. Stay with me because we're just getting started. The next part will blow your mind. Number 3, shifting your focus. Power comes from within. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, listen closely, folks. Power comes from within, not from trying to control how others see you or respond to you. If you're constantly focused on someone else's behavior, waiting for them to give you the validation you crave, you're giving away your energy. You're waiting for a reaction that may never come, all while neglecting the one thing you actually can control: yourself. Here's a wake-up call. You can't make someone care about you, no matter how hard you try. And the more you try, the more you're just losing yourself in the process. You're caught in a loop of seeking approval, checking their every move, adjusting yourself to fit their expectations. But that's not how you build real power. It's how you lose it. In true Stoic fashion, the key to reclaiming your power is to stop seeking it from external sources. The only place where real power resides is within you. And here's the beauty of it. When you focus on yourself, when you invest in your own growth, your own peace, everything else falls into place. When you stop focusing on their reactions, you start focusing on yours. When you stop worrying about what they think, you start focusing on how you feel. And that's where the magic happens. Marcus Aurelius knew this truth when he said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This is exactly where the shift needs to happen. Your thoughts, your emotional balance, your growth, it's all in your hand. The moment you realize that, everything changes. When you shift your focus from worrying about someone else's behavior to improving yourself, that's when you take control. That's when your power starts to rise. You see, self-improvement isn't just about getting better at things. It's about learning how to respond to life in a way that keeps you calm, balanced, and centered, no matter what happens around you. When you stop relying on others for your emotional stability, you start creating a foundation that nothing can shake. Your reactions become your own. Your emotions are under your control. And that's a powerful place to be. So think about this. How much energy have you spent worrying about someone else's actions? How many hours have you spent wondering why they didn't text back, why they didn't call, why they didn't respond the way you wanted them to? Every minute spent obsessing over someone else's behavior is a minute you could have spent improving your own life. And I'm not just talking about surface-level things like how you look or what you wear. I'm talking about deep emotional growth, learning how to be at peace with yourself regardless of what anyone else does. I know it's hard. I know it feels like letting go of that need for external validation is like stepping into the unknown. You'll feel the fear of, what if they forget about me? What if I'm not enough? These are the lies we all believe, and they hold us back from true power. But here's the truth. You are enough. You always have been. Your value isn't tied to their reaction, their attention, or their approval. Your value is intrinsic, and once you accept that, the need to chase after anyone's validation vanishes. So let me ask you this. What would happen if you started pouring your energy into your own growth, your own peace, your own happiness? What if, instead of wondering what they think, you decided to focus on who you are becoming? That's where your power lies. the moment you realize that everything around you starts to shift. The people who truly matter will be drawn to you, not because you've been chasing them, but because you've been chasing your best self. Say this with me. I guard my mind, not their reactions. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in, because this is your new truth. Focus on what you can control, yourself, and watch how everything else falls into place. Stay with me, because we're about to go even deeper, and trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Number 4, scarcity creates demand. You're no longer an open tap. The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. Henry David Thoreau, folks. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how when something is always there, always available, always easy to get, you stop appreciating it? It's like the free refill at a restaurant. At first, you're excited. The waiter comes by and fills up your glass with more water, and you're thankful. But after the 3rd or 4th refill, you don't even notice it anymore. It becomes background noise, something that's just there, always available. Eventually, you stop even thinking about it. And that, my friends, is exactly how your constant availability works in relationships. Here's the deal. When you're always there, always on call, always ready to drop everything and cater to someone else's needs, your value starts to fade. You're no longer a special treat. You become an automatic, predictable response. You're the glass of water that's always full. And because it's always full, it's never really noticed. You become background noise, just part of the scenery. Think about it. How many times have you been the one who always picks up the phone, always sends the first message, always makes the effort? At first, they may appreciate it, but soon they start taking it for granted. And you know what happens when someone takes something for granted? They stop valuing it. They assume it'll always be there, no matter what. They stop seeing it as precious because it's always within reach. It's just there. This is a tough pill to swallow, but hear me out. Your constant availability is a trap. The more you give, the less they value what you're offering. The more you keep refilling that metaphorical glass, the less they notice. Scarcity creates demand. It's the same reason people line up for hours outside a store for the latest iPhone, even though the phone will be available for months afterward. It's new, it's scarce, and people want it because they can't have it whenever they want. Here's the truth. Your time is not free. You're not just some always available option that people can access whenever they feel like it. When you make yourself too available, you remove that element of mystery, that element of desire. Think about it. When something is always available, always predictable, there's no excitement. But the moment that item, or in this case you, becomes harder to get, everything changes. Suddenly, people start noticing. They start wondering, where did they go? Why aren't they replying? Who are they giving their attention to instead? This isn't about playing games. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about respecting your own time and energy. It's about knowing that you are valuable. Or when people can access you all the time, they stop seeing you as something worth cherishing. You're a luxury item, not a free refill. Let me tell you, this shift will not be easy at first. You'll feel the urge to keep showing up, to keep answering, to keep making the effort. You'll feel anxious, maybe even afraid that by stepping back they might move on, forget about you, or find someone else. But here's the thing. If they only value you when you're constantly available, they never truly valued you in the first place. They valued the ease. They valued the fact that they didn't have to work for your attention. And that's not love or respect. That's convenience. So say this with me. My time is not free. I am not always on tap. Write it in the comments below, because you're not here to be someone's backup plan. You're not here to be constantly on call. You're here to attract the people who will appreciate you, who will value the effort you put in, and who will show up for you. the way you deserve. And trust me, when you stop being so easily accessible, when you stop pouring your energy into people who don't respect it, that's when the real demand begins. Stay with me because we're just scratching the surface, and I promise you the next part will leave you speechless. Number 5. The mystery factor. Silence speaks volumes. Silence is a source of great strength. Folks, let's talk about something powerful. Silence. Now, I know silence can feel uncomfortable at times, especially when you're used to filling every gap with words, attention, and effort. But here's the reality. Silence speaks louder than anything you could say. It has the ability to create a space where curiosity grows, where desire intensifies, and where they start wondering what you're thinking, what you're doing, and where you went. Here's the truth. When you pull back and give less information, you become a mystery. And do you know what people do when they encounter a mystery? They become obsessed with solving it. They start piecing together the puzzle. They begin to wonder why you're no longer available, why your responses are slower, why they haven't heard from you as much. In a world where people are constantly bombarded with notifications, messages, and distractions, your silence becomes an absence that they can't ignore. And trust me, absence makes people notice you more. Think about it. When something is always there, when it's always available, it becomes part of the background. It's like when you walk into a room and don't even notice the furniture until you decide to leave. But when you take that furniture away, suddenly you notice the empty space. That's exactly what happens when you pull back. People notice what's gone more than what's always there. The moment you stop reacting to every message, stop giving constant updates, and stop being so predictable, you create an absence. And that absence gets them thinking, why aren't they responding like they used to? Did I lose them? Are they talking to someone else? And here's where the magic happens. They start chasing, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you've made yourself scarce. Scarcity is a game changer. People want what they can't have. The more you give them your presence, the more it's taken for granted. But when you pull back, suddenly they're left wanting more. And the best part? You're in control. This isn't about being cold or shutting them out. It's about creating space. It's about refusing to give away your energy without being appreciated. When you stop over-explaining, when you stop constantly reacting to their every word, you're telling them that your time and attention are valuable. And that's what makes them start wondering, questioning, and ultimately coming to you. But here's the thing. You've got to be okay with the discomfort. The first few times you go silent, your mind will start racing. You'll wonder if they're forgetting about you, if they'll think you don't care. It's the fear of the unknown, the fear of being forgotten. But let me tell you something. Your silence is not weakness. It's a power move through. It's about showing them that you're not desperate for their attention. You don't need their validation to feel whole. You've got your own life, your own focus, your own strength. And once you realize that, you'll stop being afraid of what might happen if you pull back. So say this with me. My silence isn't weakness, it's my power move. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in, because you're not here to be someone's emotional crutch. You're here to command respect, to create the space where they can't help but wonder about you. And trust me, once you embrace your silence, once you realize how much power is in not reacting, everything shifts. Stay with me, because the next part will show you how to really own this power and become someone irresistible. Trust me, this journey is just getting started. Number 6, Stoic indifference versus apathy, understanding the difference. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Epictetus, all right, folks, let's clear something up. Stoic indifference is not the same as apathetic numbness. I get it. When you hear the word indifference, you might think it means being cold, detached, or unfeeling. But that's not what Stoicism is about. Stoicism isn't about shutting down your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about emotional regulation, choosing how you respond to situations instead of letting your emotions run wild and control you. Let's break it down. Indifference means not being controlled by things outside of your own mind. It's about taking a step back from all the external noise, all the distractions, and focusing on what truly matters, your inner peace. It means that you feel deeply, you experience life fully, but you're not swayed by the small things, the trivialities, or the dramas that others try to bring into your world. You can still feel love, joy, sadness, or frustration, but you don't let those emotions dictate how you behave or how you view yourself. You maintain control. You don't let anyone else's actions shake your foundation. Now let's talk about the difference between playing games and maintaining your peace. Some people think that when you stop chasing after someone, when you stop reacting to everything they do, it's a game. They think it's manipulation. But here's the truth, you're not playing games. You're simply choosing to prioritize your peace over their drama. You're not trying to make them jealous. You're not trying to punish them. You're taking control of your emotional landscape, and that's something most people can't understand because they're too busy chasing their own validation or reacting to every little thing that happens in their lives. Stoic indifference is not about shutting off your emotions or pretending they don't matter. It's about mastering your responses. When someone pulls away, you don't lose your mind. When things don't go your way, you don't freak out. You feel what you feel, but you don't let your emotions dictate your actions. You don't need constant validation. You don't need their approval to feel good about yourself. You know your worth, and you live from that place of inner strength. Here's the key. When you let go of trying to control others' actions or feelings, you free yourself. You no longer have to chase, beg, or prove yourself to anyone. You simply show up as your best self, not to win them over, but to honor your own peace and your own growth. That's the real power move. The fear you feel, the anxiety when someone doesn't react the way you want them to, that's just the fear of losing control. It's the fear of being vulnerable, of letting go, of not knowing what will happen next. But here's what you need to understand. You are not meant to control anyone else's feelings. The only thing you can control is your own. And once you understand that, once you realize that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's actions, you'll never let anyone have that kind of power over you again. So say this with me. I feel deeply, but I'm not swayed by trivialities. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in, because this is the heart of Stoic wisdom. Your peace is yours to protect, and no one can take that from you unless you let them. And trust me, once you embrace this mindset, once you understand the power of emotional regulation over emotional chaos, you'll see everything around you change. Stay with me, because what's coming next will help you solidify this inner strength even further. You won't want to miss it. Number 7, when you become unaffected, they become insecure. The greatest wealth is to live content with little. Plato, folks, let me tell you something powerful. When you become unaffected by someone else's actions, that's when they start feeling insecure. Because for so long, they thought they had the upper hand. They thought they could control your emotions, dictate your reactions, and have you chasing after them. But when you stop reacting to their games, when you stop playing by their rules, that's when they realize they've lost their grip. It's crazy how powerful unbothered confidence can be. When you stop seeking their attention, when you stop letting their actions dictate how you feel, it rattles them. They're used to you reacting, responding, always being there when they need you. They're used to seeing you chase after their approval. But when that suddenly stops, when you start living for yourself and not for their validation, they start questioning themselves. Here's the catch. Their obsession with you is not about love, it's about control. Think about it. They want to know that they can make you feel something, that they still have power over you. But when you stop reacting, when you stop needing their validation, they begin to feel out of control. And that's what scares them the most. It's not that they love you more or suddenly realize your worth. It's that they realize they can't manipulate your emotions anymore. And that, my friends, is terrifying for someone who's been used to holding the reins. This is where the power shift happens. Your indifference doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about yourself more than you care about their gains. When you stop reacting to their inconsistencies, their mixed signals, their emotional push and pull, you show them that you're no longer at their mercy, have taken your power back. And that's when they start obsessing. They're not just missing you, they're missing the control they once had over you. They're wondering, wait, why aren't they trying to win me over anymore? Why aren't they chasing me? And that feeling of losing control, that's what drives people to obsess. It's less about love and more about the fear of being forgotten, the fear of being replaced. They've built their identity on the idea that you're always available, always caring, always chasing after them. And when that stops, it shakes their world. Here's the truth, folks. You can't control someone else's emotions, and neither can they control yours. When you stop giving them the power to dictate how you feel, when you stop seeking their approval or validation, you start experiencing a level of freedom they can't even comprehend. And that's where your true power lies. So say this with me: I refuse to be controlled by anyone's validation. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in, because this is the turning point. You are the one in control of your emotions, and no one else can take that from you unless you let them. Stay with me, because what's coming next will take this to a whole new level. You won't want to miss it. Number 8. Transcending the game. How to keep your inner peace. The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think is the ultimate form of freedom. Marcus Aurelius, here's the thing, folks. Once you stop playing the game, once you stop letting other people's actions dictate your peace, you step into a power that's unmatched. You stop chasing, you stop reacting, and you start living for yourself. And guess what? When you start doing that, you realize that the real game is not about winning someone's affection. It's about winning back your own inner peace. You see, too many of us get caught up in the idea that our worth is tied to other people's opinions or their treatment of us. Best, we think, if they like me, I'm worth something, or if they notice me, I'm valuable. But let me tell you, your value doesn't depend on who comes and goes from your life. The real strength comes from staying rooted in your own worth, no matter what anyone else does. When you stop playing the game, you realize that your peace is in your hands, not in anyone else's. The ultimate Stoic principle is simple. Your tranquility is your responsibility. You can't control the actions of others, but you can control how you respond. You can't control whether someone cares about you, but you can control how much you care about yourself. The more you prioritize your peace, the more unstoppable you become. Here's the kicker. When you stop relying on others for validation, you reclaim your freedom. You stop being affected by their mood swings, their emotional roller coasters, or their need for control. You step into the truth that your emotional state is yours and yours alone. No one has the power to steal your peace unless you allow it. And when you realize that, that's when you're truly free, that's when you're truly free as a two. So let me ask you, what if you chose peace over drama? What if you decided that no matter who comes or goes, you will stay rooted in your own self-worth? Imagine how much energy you'd save, how much lighter you'd feel, and how much more you'd enjoy your life when you stop relying on anyone else to complete you. Now say this with me. I am free from their opinions, and that's my real power. Write it in the comments below. Let it sink in, because that's where your power lies. In your ability to stay grounded. You are not defined by their actions, by their approval, or by their treatment of you. You define yourself. And once you realize this, the game is over. You've already won. And there you have it, folks. When you stop chasing, stop seeking validation, and start focusing on your own peace and self-worth, you unlock a power that no one can take away from you. Remember, your tranquility is your responsibility. And once you own that, the game changes. Stay rooted, stay confident, and let them chase what they can't have. If this resonated with you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who needs to hear it. Stay tuned, because we've got even more powerful truths coming your way.